I want to welcome everybody to the latest episode of the Cops and Convicts podcast with Sean Shepard. I'm Sean Shepard, your host, and tonight we have one of my favorite people to talk to. Our guest is one of the original band members of Toni, who also caught a 57-month federal prison bid. And I'm very, very happy to be talking with him again. EB, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. What's up, Sean? How you doing?
I'm doing well. So most of our viewers have no idea that Toni started out as a 3-person band. I'm sorry, started out as a 6-person band.
Right.
Start from the beginning and explain to us how Toni went from 6 people to 3 people.
Well, in all honesty, at the very beginning, it started at 3 people. Raphael, Tim, and Dwayne. But they tried that route. They were trying to be like a black police. But the music scene kind of changed drastically to hip hop, and like dancing was in, the Hammers, the Kid and Plays, the Cool Mo D's, so a dancing craze happened. So, and they always needed the supporting band, so they grabbed Carl, Antron, and myself, and we started doing shows locally around the Bay Area, and then we did a showcase for some producers and the record company. And once they seen us perform as a 6-man unit, they signed. Well, we got the record deal, but they only signed Raphael, Tim, and Dwayne to a production deal on the first record. Then on the second album, Revival, they signed all 6 members straight to the record company.
So you were cool with the first contract not being signed?
Well, they wasn't signed either. They were signed to a production company. They were signed to the record company.
Okay.
So no, I wasn't cool with that either. But we just rolled with it because we felt we family. They gonna make sure we straight, so we didn't trip.
All right. So the first contract was the 3 of them being signed to a production company. You were not cool with that. The second contract, the production company signed all three of you, all no, 6 of you?
The record company, Wing Polygram, signed all 6 of us in 1989. Okay. Yes.
Okay, so you're signed to a contract in 1989. 1989, Toni had quite a following by 1989.
Yes.
What was your role within the group?
I was more the showman. I was, the bassist and the choreographer.
Okay, so when you say choreographer, you're talking about the videos and the dance moves that they all performed while they were on stage?
Correct.
Okay, so explain to me, EB, your unique role as a bass player, because you've shared with me that you didn't always play the bass. You played the bass sometimes.
No. I always played the bass. I just wasn't serious about playing the bass. I learned how to play the bass. My father was a guitar player. I've been learning how to play the bass when I was 4 years old. I just took it serious at 12, but I was more into sports and, being in the streets. I didn't make music my forefront like the other members did, So I just didn't take it as seriously like they did until, I got out of high school. And then Raphael pulled me in to be with them. And that's when I got back serious with it. But I already knew how to play fluently at the age of 12.
So when you say Raphael, for our viewers, which Raphael are you talking about?
Raphael Sadiq.
And you're related to him how?
He's my first cousin. I'm his mother and my father, brothers and sisters.
Okay, so you're Raphael Sadiq's first cousin. You played the bass. You were the original bass player for the group, correct?
Well, Raphael played bass too. So when off the first record, Raphael mostly played bass, and I was more like Jerome at the time, just a freelance dancer and a background singer. action packed. And I played the bass sometime when he had the lead sing, but he was the main bass player on before we had the record deal. But when Halo Walter came out, then I was a full-time bass player.
Okay.
Before the record deal, we split the bass playing duties. But when we got the Lil Walter deal, I was full-time bass player on the first album.
Okay, so on the first album, you were the full-time bass player. You played the bass in concerts and when you were recording the songs as well?
No, Raphael played the bass in the studio. I played bass live in concert.
So how'd you feel about that?
At the time, I didn't like it, but I understood later on because when I started producing and, as a bass player, you hear things a certain way and you write your music that way. So by him being a bass player, it wasn't broke, so I had to fix it,
Okay.
I still feel I could have added some style to it, but clearly it worked. So, it wasn't broke.
It did. So talk to me. You signed this contract, all six of you. In what year was that?
1989.
Okay, so you signed this contract, all six of you, in 1989.
Yes.
What was it like after you signed that contract? Was everything Gucci, or did things start to go sideways not too long after you signed that contract?
No, everything was good. We got a record deal. You sign a record deal, you think is fame and fortune, but those two don't go hand in hand, as we found out later. But, once you get on TV, travel the world, you ain't got too many bills at that time. Everything's sweet. So
what was the size of your first check after you signed this contract? What was your first bit of money that you got from the contract?
The very first check we got for recording, they gave us 10,000 apiece. Me, Antron, and Carl. I don't know what Raphael, Tim, and Dwayne got, but they gave us 10,000 recording advance in 1989. So that was cool for some kids fresh out of high school and had no bills. And then we make tour money, so it was cool.
Okay, so you got money in your pocket, you're touring, things seem to be going well. Where did things start to go sideways for you and the other two bandmates that were kicked out?
Well, they just started making it a little bit more segregated. We wasn't going to no meetings. We wasn't going to interviews, and we was all signed to the label as a 6-man group. So, but off the first album, Who, that's how they conduct business. So we was already kind of used to them conducting business like that. And by them being our childhood friends and first cousins, we didn't think that nothing bad was going to happen. So we rolled with it. We didn't per se like it, but we weren't really tripping either. But when we start seeing them buy things like expensive jewelry, because I was the only one really wearing jewelry back in the day, but they start buying jewelry and like out of nowhere, it was like, hey, where y'all get that money from? And we to the day, some say they got it from publishing, but we don't know where it came from. But we're still all signed to the publishing deal, which was a horrible deal later when I found out. And Raphael did get us out that deal. It was bad. I found that out like a couple months ago how bad it really was.
Wait a minute, hold up. You found out a couple of months ago how bad that contract was for you?
My bad. The publishing deal, yes, because we went to a lawsuit and we had a court battle like during COVID time. So 2021, 21. Wow. So we was battling in court for a minute and it went on for a minute, but then they changed judges after COVID because they kept pushing it back. They had a court date set, but with the old judge, but the new judge just decided to throw it out. So we just didn't even bother no more.
So talk to me. We're still in the early 90s. You started to notice that the three prominent band members were getting more money than you, buying jewelry? Were they buying cars? Were they buying homes? Or you just noticed the jewelry?
I noticed the jewelry first, and then I noticed the house and cars.
Okay, so how did you
That,
personally handle that?
that's when we start asking questions, and then once we start asking questions, that's when everything got a little tense, and then that's when they decided to fire me and Antron.
And what gave them the authority to fire you if all six of you were signed?
Us being naive, they really couldn't fire us. We had to actually sign paperwork to be released. We were signed to a corporation, but we were just like oh well, and just me personally, it was so tense. I didn't care about no money, no relationship. It was gonna be awkward like that. I ain't want to be a part of it.
I would imagine you felt some kind of way about your blood family, somebody as close as your first cousin, doing you dirty like that. Did you all
Well,
exchange words? Did you ever approach him or confront him?
well, we talked. The thing is, of course, I felt some type of way because we made sacrifices as well. We was all together doing free shows and concerts before record deals for no money, just to with the same goals in mind. So I did not. Yeah, everybody felt like we got slighted, so we just moved on and we eventually got back cool. And then in '93 they hired me and Antron back because now we felt, I don't know if it's how they felt, but now that they in full control now we are truly employed by them now. So I would say they was in a position they wanted to be in all the time. Now we work for them and we got to fall in line as such. So by still just being young and had nothing too much going on but producing other artists at the time, we just, still rock because it was just second nature to us.
So it sounds to me like there was a 2 year gap, 2 to 3 year gap.
Yeah, we got fired in '91 and was back on the road in '93. And we only missed one tour. They had an MTV tour when they fired us. That was the summer, but we ain't missed no other tours. The whole duration of Toni, when we was hot from '88 to '98, we ain't missed no tours but that one.
So when you went through that 2 year gap, what was going on in your life? You had just got fired from one of the hottest R&B groups on the planet. What did you
I was,
do between 91 and 93?
I was producing other recording artists. I produced Club Nouveau, Sweet and Low, YT Style. Who else I produced? Jay Spencer. I produced like four major recording artists between that time.
So talk to me, EB. You go from being a choreographer and a bass player to producing a group as big as Club Nouveau. How did that come about?
I always been writing producer. They just didn't ever give me the opportunity. It wasn't all of us. Every 6 men in the group knew how to write a song and produce a song.
Uh,
So I just didn't have the opportunity to be as effective as I could because in their mind all slots was filled and me and Raphael talked not too long ago. He like that was the winning formula, so just roll with it. But I was like, it could have been even more winning formula if all of us was together, but uh it worked, so I can't knock it. It worked, you know what I'm saying? It did work.
you still producing now?
Yeah, man, I got my own label, Ambitious Records, and I got about 3 or 4 projects, solo projects, and then I got a few other groups. But it's independent, so man, it's kind of hard with streaming. So the game has changed drastically. So you're pretty much singing for nothing now. You make all that good music, and they giving it away for 0.0069, a thousand of a penny.
It's hard. It sounds like it's hard. It's really hard to break into that industry and make money.
Well, if you get in here and sell your soul to the devil and sell this nonsense they got on the radio and kill, suck, fuck, and all that bullshit, what they want to promote, all the negative stuff, then they got a slot for you. They just want devil music, man. So they don't want no true love and nothing positive and uplifting. It got to be all negative, in the black community, that is.
Well, it's interesting to hear you say that, because the way you describe the music that they don't want, that sounds like the music that my parents grew up listening to.
Yeah, your parents, you grew up listening to it because we on the best of both worlds. We get to hear 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. We see it transform to all hip hop and you know, I mean, these kids is winning, man. And I'm not gonna say they ain't got no talent, but you used to have more talent than what they have now. Way more. you know, it's like anything goes now.
Auto tunes made a lot of stars out of people.
Hey, man, you could actually go to a concert and the artist or rapper don't sing or rap. The record be playing or the stems be playing, and you just watching them lip sync and they get paid to lip sync like they ain't even really rapping or singing.
In today's concerts.
In today's concert, man.
So EB, I see a lot of photos with you with DJ Quick, Too Short. Talk to me about your relationships with them and how you all came to be tight and how you're still running with them, doing the things that you love to do, making music.
Well, Too Short from Oakland, and of course, all his songs are bass driven. So
Yeah.
uh, me when I play for somebody, I play the record like it goes. I don't do all the extra licks. I play the song, and that's what Too Short love about me because I'm gonna play his record just like the record. And so anytime he do something live, he'll call me or he'll want me to play on a record, or I have him. We'll barter. He is rapping some of my songs. And DJ Quick, we did Let's Get Down together. Raphael did let me participate on that song, and I was able to sing on that song. And when Quick used to come to Oakland, I'd go sit in a couple shows and play with him, on some old school love. That's about the extent of that.
Yeah, Quick is one of my favorite artists, and Let's Get Down. That's a hot song. I didn't know that you had vocals on that song.
That's me going, I gotta get my groove on. I gotta get my groove on. That's me. And how that came about, at the end of that song, it was just music playing and it was nothing going on. I say, man, that's empty. Something to go there. I said, I got an idea. And I just went in there and cut it one time and it made the record.
Well, now you're going to make me go back and listen to it.
Please do.
Because that's news to me. We've talked before. You never told me that.
I left that one out, but that's the truth. Yeah.
That's hot. That's hot. So you're having success with Toni as employees now.
Right.
When did that come to an end for you? And how did that come to an end for you?
Well, the three, Raphael, Tim, and Dwayne, they start bumping heads and it just fizzled out through some money issues, accounting issues they had amongst themselves now. And it fizzled in 97, 98. 97, really. And then Dwayne decided to get a childhood friend, which is Raphael's childhood friend, Amar. And he took over for the next 20 years live in concert while Raphael went and did Lucy Pearl and produced everybody, all the 1,000 groups he produced and artists. And me, I had an open door policy with Toni. I'll go in on the road when I want to go on the road with him. If I just feel like touring some days, I'd go. But it was never the same without Antron, Carl, and Raphael. But it was still a doable gig.
So were you making the type of money that you wanted to make?
Nah, not at all. That's why I was in and out. I just go when I feel like playing, but money wasn't the driver of it.
So talk to me, EB, how you transitioned from the band to how you started making money on the side. How did you go from what you were doing music-wise to what you chose to do next? And what did you choose to do next?
Well, the music business started fizzling out. The business started changing. The record company started folding. They wasn't paying producers as much no more, and the money used to come far in between. Like they give you half up front, half when you complete the project. So you got to stretch the money. Stretch the money, stretch the money, stretch the money. So at that time, I was doing a lot of traveling. In Oakland, they call Oakland a hustler's paradise. So you can find any type of hustle in Oakland. And me, I wasn't into selling drugs because I could have been done that if that was what the case was. But I wasn't into the crack area. All my friends was rich, and that still didn't tempt me to do it. But because I didn't feel right in my heart to do it. But uh, my buddy used to do some plane tickets hookup, and I was like one of his number one clients, and I used to refer him, and I knew so many people that I just took a life of his own. I got involved, started doing it, and it just took a life of its own, man. I got paid more doing that than I did with Tony. Not bragging about it, but that wasn't my intent. It just happened like that.
So I'll admit, in the 90s, I bought one of those cheap tickets. I can't
Right,
remember who I bought the ticket from,
right.
but I never thought about why the ticket was so cheap. Explain to me how you ran this travel agency, allowing people to get ridiculously cheap plane tickets. Talk to me about that process. And what
Well,
I'm guessing it wasn't legal.
it's definitely nothing I'm proud about, but the fact is the facts. It's it was of course stolen credit card numbers. Um, I would know how much is on that card when the card is paid for, and I would only use a minimum, you know, amount on that. So most cars I had was $50,000 limit. You know what I'm saying? So I would probably use about $500, $900 on it, and that's because in my mindset I had to make myself feel right about doing it. So what I did was I said, okay, if the person find out they won't be inconvenienced. They won't get stuck nowhere. Um, and by the time they do find out, it's got insurance on it, so they just going they ain't gonna have to pay for it. The bank is insured, they insured, so everybody okay. And that's how I kind of set my mind up to like feeling all right by doing it. And man, you'll be surprised how many people want to travel, bro. Like it just became I didn't even do it to even make it something. I was just doing it because I was looking out for people like I was getting looked out for. But then it just kept growing and growing and growing. Man, I wasn't getting no sleep. My phone rang 24 hours a day. Because
I
everybody
believe
last minute. Because the ticket's so high. But they only have to buy for me for $250. They tickets would be $900. I only charge $250.
I believe you stayed busy because I know how expensive traveling has always been, and to get a discount that you were giving out, I'd have been hollering at you all the time as well. How did
Yeah,
you how did you manage the money? Did you ever start to get nervous about getting caught? I'm thinking when I look back on the time, you know, we didn't have one of these, so nobody was getting no alert that the card was getting
exactly.
used, right?
Exactly.
So you had that going for you in terms of not getting caught. Talk to me. What was the money like?
Okay. In my thought process, how I looked at it, I said, if I make $500 a day, that's good for me. That's 15,000 a month. That was my logic. But it always ranged from on an average day, it always ranged from 500 to 5,000 on an average day.
Day.
In between, yes, it always ranged from that every day, bro. Like from 500 to 5,000 every day. Um, Some days it'll be 1,500, some days it'll be 3,500, sometimes it go past. Man, sometimes I was flying 20 people at a time, 50 people at a time. It's it got pretty crazy, man. And like I said, I ain't proud about it, but hey, man, it paid good.
EB, how did you get the credit card numbers?
Um, this guy was working. I just bought from different sources, but this guy was working at a rental car place, and he used to get them for me, and he would charge me uh $50 for 100 or something like that. I forgot the prices, but the thing with him was he would just keep getting them, and no matter if I needed them or not, he made me buy them from him because he wanted to make a certain amount of money. You know, we feel like he want 500 this day. He gonna hang out, and I had to buy them from him because if he cut me off, I ain't got no more source. So um, I was getting it from him, and that's how once they start tracking everything, the source was coming from this one institution. So when they called up with him, he got in trouble. Then he set me up on a sting. So that's how I got caught. They didn't.
Hold on, time out. Now I'm understanding. He got caught because he was working for a rental car company.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So for our viewers who aren't as seasoned as you and I, there used to be this credit card swiper that had the carbon copy and it saved your credit card number on it, and that carbon would be thrown in the trash.
Right.
If it wasn't shredded, is that how he was getting it? Is that how he was getting the numbers?
Well, on his, they were printed out on a sheet, on a rental car sheet, the whole number at the time.
Oh, damn.
And he just grabbed a whole invoice and just sell me a stack of them. Yep. Before it got sophisticated, man.
So on one sheet, how many numbers would be on there, EB?
Oh, one per sheet.
Okay.
Sheet. That's why I say like this, because I buy 50, 100 at a time. So he gonna bring me a stack like this every time he called me.
So the way you're making it sound like there were too many complaints and they traced the credit card situation back to the car rental.
The source, yeah, because everybody who was getting hit had it in comments coming up. They rented from this place. Yeah, that's how that's how I learned about how things work. Like, hey man, they gonna know that source, man. They gonna man, that's good. Hey, why these people could everybody got in comment is from this rental car place, and that's how they came up there.
All right, so he gets caught for being stupid. I mean, it's like
greedy.
I say he was stupid, but I would like to think that if he had the opportunity to work at different locations, that would have been more ideal. But since he didn't, it was easy to find him.
Yes.
All right, so they offer him some sort of deal to rat you out or rat out whomever, or were you the main focus based on what he told you?
They didn't know nothing about me. They was just who was still in credit card number. They came for him. But the thing was, I skipped something. We also used to buy and sell them numbers. So we used to sell some to other people too for whatever reason they want to do with them. And I think one got caught in a drug raid, the paperwork, one of his paperworks. And that's how they came to him. So they didn't come to him just because the source, that drug bust led to that numbers. They found some of the rental car paperwork. And that's what made them go to that rental car place.
I'm still trying to figure out how you got caught up in a sting, because I'm assuming that you were not the only person buying those numbers from him.
Correct. Well, I was the main person buying it from him. And at that time, he was scared to death. The bright lights was on him, and he still did the same amount of time he'd did if he didn't tell. So he got nervous, and he still went to jail for 3 years. So if he kept his mouth shut, he'd did the same thing with some dignity. But hey, he just felt he had to do what he had to do.
I guess misery loves company. If he was going down, he wanted somebody else to get in trouble too. So talk to me about this sting.
Okay. This particular day, I was on my way to Los Angeles to go take care of some business. At this time, I opened up me a corporation. I'm going to go into real estate. I'm off. I feel eerie. I got a good discernment of things. With this day, right? I used to have my underboss go and meet him because I had a bad habit of pulling out my wad, and when he see my money, he'll go up on the price because he see how much money I'm making. So I stopped meeting him. I had my boy Rodney go, rest in peace, Rodney, and he'll go
Hold
meet
on.
him.
What was his name?
His name was my boy's name was Rodney. He passed away.
What was his nickname? Oh, you said rest in peace. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I said rest in peace because he passed away while I was in the feds.
Okay.
So Rod's gonna meet him. So Rod was on his way to take me to LA. And I said, man, for some reason, I think I better go with you today. I don't feel right about this. I just don't feel right about this. Some telling me don't let you go because I wouldn't want to go to LA and find out something happened to Rod. You know what I'm saying? On my behalf. So I said, I'm gonna go with you. I says, if it's gonna happen, we both going down, and I take care of it. I get exact. So I'm kind of like spoken to existence, and I get a phone call on my way from one of my clients. She was calling to tell me that I was about to get set up, and I didn't even answer the call.
So obviously you found this out after the fact. How did she
Yeah,
find out? How did she find out you were going to get set up?
he was dating. He was dating her friend, and he told the girlfriend, and she told her.
Bro, you was not dealing with a smart cat.
No, not at all. Well, he wasn't my friend, so
Business associate.
yeah, he wasn't my friend at all. So it wasn't personal.
So how'd this thing go down?
So he kept calling me because I took my sweet time. And he kept wanting to meet me at this one place, at this gas station by Eastmont Mall in Oakland on 73rd, the Shell's gas station. And I'm like, why you want to keep meeting me at this same, we can meet anywhere. So why you want to just keep meeting me at this same location? And I'm coming from Sacramento. Sacramento to Oakland is about an hour and 15-minute drive. So I'm like, why are you going to sit there and wait for me in that one location all this time when we can meet anywhere? And we had a pattern how we do things. He'll put it in the bag and he'll conceal it. This day he came out with it in his hand, and I will only choose certain numbers. By the first four numbers, I knew what value that was credit card, what limit it was on that credit card. So he brought it, and when he handed it to me, and I gave him the $500, I could look on his face, something was wrong. I said, "What's up with you?" He said, "It is what it is." That was his answer to me. It is what it is. And I'm like, what the fuck that's supposed to mean? And shit. And before I got there, I caused myself being sharp and circled the parameter, right? Seasoned the cops were, of course, they was in undercover cars, you know what I'm saying, bad stuff. So they wait for the transaction to happen, and me and Rodney, because he's on the way taking me to the airport. About a half a mile later, they got behind us a red light, took us to Eastmont Mall to study and interrogate us, and then took us downtown. And after a couple of days in the county, the state threw it out. And then 2 years later, the feds picked it up.
Why do you think the state threw it out, EB?
For the feds to pick it up. And it had too many flaws in it for the state. I could have beat it with the state.
Okay, so you get brought in for questioning and you think you're scot-free. When the state dropped it, you thought you were good, right?
Oh man, yeah, I was celebrating. I was like, I ain't doing that shit no more. I'm cool. We're gonna do this real estate. I'm good. I ain't messing with it no more. Yeah, 2 years straight, boy. It was solid. I was happy that I was doing well in real estate too at that time. And man, my attorney called me like, you just been indicted. And like I said, at that time, I didn't even know what that word meant, but I knew it was bad.
So out of the blue, your attorney calls you up and tells you you've been indicted.
Yes. 2 years later, I got the state charge in '04. They threw it out 3 days later. So 2 years straight. 2006 is when I got that call. And I fought that until 2008. And I checked in 2008 and got out in 2012.
So talk to me. Talk to me. I don't mean to laugh, but it sounds like. I mean, I can't imagine being in your position, you doing your thing, thinking that that's all behind you, and you get a call from your attorney who helped you get this thrown out by the state, that you're being indicted after you got off the phone. Like, what did you do? Like, what was going through your head, and then what was your next move?
Man, I was sick because I was in party mode at that time. I was doing really well in real estate. Um, I was sick, man, because I had to drive back from Houston, Texas to California. He said, "Don't get on no planes because the U.S. Marshal will pick you up from your ID." And I was like, "Wow." So man, I was just paranoid and drove all the way back and checked in at 2 days later. He walked me in and walked me out like he said. They fingerprinted me and we went to court. They read off the charges. But when I looked at the paperwork, man, they only had they had less than $20,000 worth of charges on that paperwork. I was like, y'all got to be kidding. And each count it was like 11 counts. If in the state it was 55 counts, but the numbers was made up, so they weren't real numbers, so they couldn't book me for it. Because when I looked at the numbers when he gave it to me, I was like, these ain't the numbers I requested. That's why I knew something was wrong. These ain't the numbers I request. So I was like, okay, something going on. But anyway, yeah, I looked at the indictment, the paperwork, the charges. Man, it was like 900, 118, 600, 400. I'm like, man, I ain't gonna do all this time for this little ass money. Like, and they put me on, man, 300,000 restitution and little charges, man. Man, that whole system is a scam, man.
So you're saying the feds charged you with things that you absolutely did not do?
Yes, because when I first went to go meet with my attorney after, you know, I fingerprinted everything like a week later when I meet with him, he said they offered me 18 to 33 months. That's my first, offer. But my friends who did state time, and they thought that was my first time ever being in trouble. So they was like, Lige, don't take that, man. You can beat that. But they don't understand the difference between states and feds. The feds got a guideline, and I got a snitch on my case. I ain't gonna win at all. So my attorney knew this. So later on, I said, I ain't taking that. They made up some more bullshit charges, bro. And they said I did things that I didn't do around the timeline. They said they had a charge from 2005. I ain't do nothing in 2005, bro. And I was telling my church, I said, man, I didn't do that. I said, I did. I did these over here, but I didn't do that. I ain't taking that. He's like, man, just take it. I was like, huh? So I fired him and got another turner. And that's when they gave me the other charges that changed my guideline to 57 to 70 months.
So when they added these things that you did not do, and since we've spoken the first time, I've learned that they're called enhancements.
Yeah, when you don't cooperate with them, they play dirty. Yeah, if you don't cooperate, they play dirty. They make up charge. They make up shit. They do anything to try to rattle you.
Well, the way it was explained to me, EB, is that an enhancement is merely an allegation that they don't even have to prove.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I told you I really didn't do what they said. And my attorney was just like, just take it. I said, no, man, I didn't do that. But he was just pretty saying, it don't fucking matter. You're going to jail anyway. So just take it. I was just like, man, whatever.
So he talks you into accepting this plea deal.
Yes.
What's your next move after that? Between the time you found out you were going to accept this plea deal and go to prison and the time you went to prison, what did you do in between time?
Oh, I still work. Matter of fact, the day I got sentenced, I had a show that same night downtown Oakland at the Paramount Theater with Toni. The day I got the 57 months, I had a show that night. The same exact day. It was so surreal that everybody was surprised that I was able to like did it. 'Cause, I went in jail at 40 years old, and I ain't never been in jail in my life. But one time on a little traffic violation, but that was less than 24 hours, and suspended license in Nashville, Tennessee. But I ain't never been in jail, did no time, so everybody was shocked that I wasn't tripping, and I was tripping, but I wasn't. Like I was like I know I had to do it, so I'm like might as well brace myself for it. So that's what I did.
Well, I'm kind of still stuck on what you said a couple of minutes ago, where they showed you numbers and you were able to recognize like those aren't my numbers. What kind of brain you got? All these numbers that you've taken in and processed. How were you able to identify which numbers that you did work with and which numbers was like, nah, I ain't do that.
The dates connected to the numbers.
Okay.
The dates.
So the dates connected to the numbers, you knew I wasn't doing anything at this particular point in time.
Exactly.
Okay.
So 2004 was my last time doing anything because that's when I got booked with the states. It was charges coming up in 2005 that I have nothing to do with. And like I explained to people before on that other little clipping you put on TikTok, and people was wondering what I was talking about. When I said that okay, y'all got to understand, I fought my case from the streets. I was OR'd, so I had to put up real estate to, fight my case for 2 years. What I was saying is, you're going to jail anyway, so there's no more pressure. You're not under surveillance. They ain't got to try to look for you because you already hit. So I'm like, I should have just kept on getting money and stacking money versus just completely stopped. Although I moved on to something else, I could have stepped grinding because I'm going to jail anyway just to get some extra money. That's what I meant when I said that, hey, man, just keep grinding and stack up because, boy, when you gone, that money depletes and you ain't got nothing to do with it, you know?
All right, man. So you're going to prison. You just said you never been to prison before. What was your mindset on the drive to the facility when you surrendered? What was your
Yeah,
what was your what was your mindset?
my cousin, well, I'm from East Oakland, man, and like 95% of my peers and friends and family members all been in jail. And, I was just as tough as them. So I'm like, if they can survive it, I knew I could survive it. And I didn't know what to expect because all the myths on TV, like this happened and that happened, you can't do this, can't do that. That wasn't true. It's a different little system between state and feds, but they still got their rules that you got to abide by. And I quickly learned that. But man, I didn't go with no expectations. I just went in there and just said I gotta do what I gotta do. But quite naturally, when I go in there, I got a high school friend in there. I got another friend from Sacramento in there, and I got another friend of a friend in there from when I was in Oakland. So now I'm straight. They tell me everything I need to do and what's going on, and don't do this, don't do that, who I have to be with, and that I was locked in as soon as I got there.
So what level of security facility were you at? I mean, it's a
Oh,
white collar crime. So
oh
where were
no,
you at?
I went straight to a camp because I was 40 years old. The points go down the older you are. So I'm 40, and that was my first time. I was only at 1 point from 10. 10 on down get you in the camp in low security. So I end up in the camp. But 2 years later, I got caught with a cell phone, and they shipped me to a penitentiary uh, in uh, in Big Spring, Texas, which I liked better.
You like the medium security federal prison better.
No, it was a low. It's not medium. It was We went from 100 inmates to over 1,000 inmates. But I liked it better because it was more to do. They had music equipment. I was able to do concerts and shows, and that 2 hour difference made the day go by faster. You didn't see your families as much, so that kind of like made the time go because you just was all tunnel vision and you was able to set a good program.
So you said something to me that really gave me pause. You said, going into prison, you had 95% of your friends and family had already been. Now, at the beginning of our time speaking tonight, you said that the Bay Area is a hustler's paradise.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
What does that say to you about 95% of your friends and family have been in prison? Do you feel like you never really had a chance that was going to be your path too?
No, because I had strong willpower. Like I said, man, I was real respected, as an athlete, as a guy with a good personality, as a guy who can fight, coming up, can hold his own. So I was a real popular person. So quite naturally, when the things going on with the crack era, they gonna look to the ones who's tough and could lead. And I have leader personality, so everybody's expecting me to cross over to that. And I'll be honest, when I got in high school, I tried to sell crack before at the age of 18. But I went to a crack house, man, my friend mother crack house. And man, I just like the way it felt. I just gave him that goddamn crack and left. After a couple hours, just giving it to him, man, I'm gone. I ain't want it like that. And I ain't never looked back.
All right, so you decided not to sell crack, but I'm listening to you talk. You decided to get involved in illegal activities anyway. How did you think that was going to turn out? You thought you was going to be able to get in, get out, and have nothing happen to you, despite the fact when you look around, you 95% of the people that was in your life was getting caught.
Yeah, they was getting caught selling crack. They weren't getting caught doing white collar. I chose white collar because I knew the punishment was lighter, and I knew I'd make more money. See, back then you could buy a kilo for 16,000 and only make $1,000 profit. That didn't make no sense to me. I spend $5 to $10 to make 500 to 1,000. Which one made more sense to you?
I got you.
And that was my thought process. I'm like, for 16,000 to make one, so that means I got to have 100 of them to make $100,000. And then if I get caught with that shit, I ain't never coming home. So I was that type of thinker. And
So
that's why
you and I had this moment where I said, while you're choosing to do something that is ultimately stupid, you tried to make the smartest decision inside of doing something that you knew could wind you. I got you. Because
yeah.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
I had to trick my mind, bro. Like I have to just make myself feel good because I never felt good about doing it. Because I'm like, the fuck are you doing? But
Right.
I got introduced to a lifestyle that I liked from Toni. You know what I'm saying? I was not about to go working on McDonald's or no regular 9 to 5 job after coming from seeing the world. No way. So I had to, in my mind, maintain to keep up with my image, and that's how I end up doing that shit.
And where you from is kind of, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. The hustle is in your blood.
Yes, it's if you from East Oakland, man. I look at when I was a kid. I said my sister boyfriends come with their moped. I'd take their moped and go down the block and charge my friends 50 cents to ride it. You know what I'm saying? It's just any little thing, man. You find a way to hustle it. Yeah, and I was always like that.
You're reminding me of my one and only trip to the Dominican, EB. You make, like, I went to the Dominican and I stayed in Boca Chica, and
Okay.
it's a very poor area of the Dominican,
Uh-huh.
and people are making money any single way that they can, any way that they can.
Right.
And I would like to believe that East Oakland, from a socioeconomic standpoint, is a little bit higher up than Boca Chica and Dominican, and you making it sound like it's really not.
Well, it really is. The thing is my peers was worth about $250,000 to $1 million at the time. All of them was rich, bro. They wasn't. They was grown men rich. They was rich. You know, I'm like, they wasn't no man. They used to take care of me before I went on my first tour. Tony. They used to drop me off money on my first tour. My stepbrother Daryl Hussey, rest in peace. He used to bring me money. He went and bought me my first Dapper Dan swimsuit. It cost $650 at that time. You know what I'm saying? In Harlem, New York. You know what I mean? That wasn't Tony money. That was dope dealer money. That was crack money. My boy Willie Clay, Larry Galvin, they used to come drop me off money before I go on tour. My boy P.O.'s give me all his jewelry, go on the road, man. They just, it was just the crack. I look like it, but I ain't still an ounce of it.
So talk to me about your first year in prison. Foreign environment, but you have friends that were in the same federal prison, correct?
Yes.
What
Um,
was, what was that like for you? How did you adjust? How did you
I,
get your hustle on in prison?
I ain't have to hustle in prison because in the feds, you get $300 a month. You rich in the feds. You got the phone time for 70. You go commissary, buy up the whole store. And you 300 a month, you rich because that's all you can spend in the feds anyway. So I was getting 300 a month off the family and friends. So I didn't need to hustle. I ain't wash my clothes. I didn't cook my food. I ain't do nothing. I didn't do my job. I paid somebody to do all that, and that cost $7 worth of book of stamps. This cost 2 books of stamps. I ain't do shit.
Wait, hold up. You became a business owner inside the prison?
That's
You
right.
was employing people?
That's right. Everybody, you'd be surprised how many people didn't have no family support in there, man. And and I used to talk about my life in there, but I was talking about my life. I see somebody on TV, oh, no, no. And everybody thought I was just, capping and being braggadocious. And I was like, damn, I can't even be myself in here. I'm actually happy to see my friend on TV, because I'm in jail. Like, oh, I know such and such. And jail is people is envy, angry. They jealous of you get visits. They jealous of you got more food than them. They jealous of you on any little thing. There's a lot of bitterness in there. So that's one thing I have to learn to just, keep my mouth shut, not, be boasting too much in there. Because everybody, don't like that shit.
But people knew that you had the means to employ other people to do stuff for you. Nobody came at you,
Can't be like, oh,
knowing that you had some money.
nah, not at all. Not at all. Man, listen, I'm going in there as a man and coming out as a man. I was never no sucker. You know what I'm saying? So, and I was with everybody. I had no special treatment. Of course, you got tested with conversations or play wrestling or whatever, just test strength stuff. But yeah, my mouth was always slick. You know what I'm saying? But I had a good personality, and the people who I know I really didn't like, I stayed away from because I didn't want to lose no good time. I was ready to get my ass out of there. So I'll make sure I can potentially avoid whatever so I don't lose no good time and go in no hole. Or end myself if I have to kill somebody because, in jail ain't no rules. I done seen people get stabbed, hitting head in locks and socks, and, it ain't truly never no fair one. So I just knew how to move to the point where, hey, I'm not gonna play basketball because dude over there got a high temper and I got a high temper. That ain't gonna work. So I'm just gonna stay over here and not do that because we gonna bump heads.
So you started out at a minimum security when you got caught with the cell phone, then you got sent to a low security, correct?
Yeah, man. I went through the whole the whole experience of being a a federal inmate. I took the bus, shackled, hands and feet. Took the bus from Atwater to Dublin, right? So when you get to Dublin, you ain't there with just camp inmates. You there with all the max security, the mediums, the low, and the campers. Y'all all together. It ain't no segregation. Y'all all together. So rules change when you get there. You know, you got them real goons in there now. So you really got to be mindful of what you're doing. But they still got the same personality as people on the streets. So it ain't like you had to be extra timid. You just have to be smart and, pick your poison. But you was still able to, everybody still had a personality, even the bullies, you know what I'm saying? They didn't fuck with everybody. But then when I left there, I had to get on Con Air. And Con Air took me from Vacaville, Fairfield. They got a airport right there for inmates. We shackled up.
Con Air.
Con Air, yeah. And they took us from there to Oklahoma to a federal disbursement for the whole United States. This is a hub to ship inmates all over the country in Oklahoma. So you get in this one cell with hundreds of guys until they peel you off to different places. And I was able to do from Oakland. He said, man, ain't no sense us getting real close right now because chances are we ain't gonna be together the next 15 minutes. Because he used to it. He did 20-something years. He know all the ropes. He says, it's good to meet you, brother, but you know what I'm saying? Keep your head up, but ain't no sense us bonding because we ain't gonna see each other no more. and he was telling the absolutely true. So once they sent me to my quarters, had a whole another people to learn because I was there a couple of weeks, and of course I found my crew. We was cool and played dominoes every day. And with that process, they get you like a thief in the night. Like they come get you at 3 o'clock in the morning. Baker, time to go. And you get on the bus and they ship you out, or if you're going cross country, put you on a plane to your next place. And that's how I end up in from Oklahoma to a bus ride to Big Spring, Texas.
And that was a low security facility?
Yes.
So I've heard of Con Air. They actually made a movie called Con Air. Remember that movie back in the day? You just jogged my memory. The Con Air stands for convicts?
Yes. Sir.
I'm just realizing this right now. I had no idea that Con Air was the airlines that was transporting prisoners.
Well, I don't think they actually called it that, but that's what it was. It was an airlines for all inmates. If we didn't go to the airport, we didn't go where the commercial flights was. This is all inmates. Yeah, I was like, wow. And the funny thing is, I was on there with Southwest T from BMF on a plane. But when he came on, for some reason, they called him back off, and he got back off the plane. And when he got out of jail, he was on Instagram, and I hear him say, "Man, remember that time you was on a Con Air, and they called your name and got you off the plane?" I said, "I was on that plane." He said, "Yep." He said, "You sure right?" I said, "Yeah, I seen you on that flight. I was on there with you."
So when you got to Texas, EB, and you were at that facility, is that where you finished out your sentence, or were you able to do some things that allowed you to go back to minimum?
Nah, I did 2 years at the minimum and 2 years at the low. So I only went to two destinations.
So that was your last stop. You were never able to get back to low security after they caught you with your cell phone.
Yeah, I wasn't tripping at that moment. It was cool. Yep.
Well, I'm interested in knowing what your mindset was as you started getting closer to your release date. What did you have lined up for yourself when you got out? Because, we hear so many stories of recidivism, people get out of prison, mess around, and they wind up right back in prison. How were you able to stay out?
Well, like I said, I had a open door policy with Toni. So as soon as I got out, I went right back to Toni. And I was married at the time, so I still had my house, still had my cars, and everything was back. I just had to get back active and go back and make the money. But I was already still established. My ex-wife, she handled everything while I was gone. She made sure I came back to my house and stuff. Although we didn't make it through the test of times, it was traumatic for the both of us, and neither was the same when I got back. So we stayed together till 2000. I got out 2012. We stayed together till 2021, and my kids graduated, and it was cool. But she held it down for the 4 years I was gone.
Well, this is news to me. I didn't know that all this was happening while you were married. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'm assuming your wife knew exactly what you were doing, and she was all for it because the money was good.
Yeah, she knew exactly what I was doing. She did. Not one time did she go, "Oh, I don't want you doing this." No, not one time. She was like, nah. She knew what I was doing. She was with it.
Hey, if she'd have said she didn't want you to do it, would you have listened to her?
Um, it depends how adamant she was. Um, it could have either inspired me or I could have been hard headed. So I don't know what option that was because that ain't what happened. It might have put some conviction in me to make me stop.
Bro, she
But
sounds like a mafia wife.
hey, man, she from Ninth Ward, New Orleans. She came from a goon family, so yeah, she with the shit.
As long as the money was there, she was cool.
Yeah, I mean, she damn sure didn't go nowhere, but she strapped her boots up because when I was home, she had to pay for nothing but her own little bills. I took everything else. She was able to put that hat on and manage. So, and that kind of changed because she's like, oh shit, I can live on my own. Shit, I don't really need him like that no more. So we kind of went through that little period, and you do live a little traumatized when you get out of it. You don't really understand that you're traumatized, but you leave with some trauma doing some years in jail.
Talk to me about that. Talk to me about some of the things that you experienced that you would categorize as this was traumatizing for me.
Well, for once, you get used to sleeping by yourself, and being alert and just so when I got back home, I wasn't even used to sleeping in the bed with her. Although you think I slept majority of my adulthood life with her in the bed, but them 4 years without her, it was strange getting back into that rhythm. So um, I did it, but a lot of times I was just sleep by myself. So a
And
lot of times
it wasn't good sleep because you were concerned about your well being or what?
no, I wasn't even concerned about that. It was just I was just used to sleeping by myself. I slept like a baby in jail. I never slept that I feel I was in any type of fear. And each place I went to, besides Dublin and Oklahoma, they had cells, but other places open dorms like a like a naval air base or an air force base. You got bunks.
And
It's a dorm.
you slept well in that big bunk day room. You slept like a baby there.
Slept like a baby. I sure did. At the low and at the man, my logic was I'm gonna sleep at least 12 hours so I can do half the time. So I made sure I slept about 12 hours a day.
Listen, I never heard nothing like that. You were going to make sure that you slept half the day, so it felt like you was only doing half the time.
That's right. And I
My,
did that. That's how I was being. So like you said, my first year, man, I just had to every month for the whole 4 years was surreal to me. I get 1 month, one day after month, I'm just like, I can't believe I'm in this motherfucker. Like shit. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? Once a month, I have a surreal moment that I can't believe I'm in fucking jail.
But wouldn't you qualify that one day as trauma?
Um, you have to do 2 years. You know, you have to get down to your last year, and they call it a furlough. I never made it to the furlough.
Why not?
Cause like when I did that phone violation, that removed it. You got to be on all good behavior to get that, or to do enough time to earn that back. And I ain't have enough time to earn that back.
So no furlough for you. Did you get any of your time cut?
No, I did about 85%. And you know what? The crazy thing is they cut off an extra 10 days because I supposed to have got out May 12th, and I got out May 2nd. And it kind of fucked me up for real because I was happy, but then the guy was like, hold on. My mind was set to the 12. I'm like, I was institutionalized, bro. I wasn't like all the way ready just to bounce. I was, but that shocked my soul. Found out I'm getting out 10 days earlier, and I was happy, but I was confused at the same time. Like, why I'm not extremely happy about this.
That is
And that,
really interesting because I would have thought that that would have been like one of the best surprises you could have gotten, and you're saying that you had mixed feelings about it.
well, let me elaborate on that. At that time, me and my wife wasn't really getting along too well. You know, when I went to Texas, I don't think she was doing everything she needed to do for me to make me mentally cool. You know, so I wasn't in a rush to go back to that because I didn't know how that was going to be. So that was part of the reason. It was a shock for me. I didn't know what to expect. So I wasn't mentally prepared just that second. And when I came home, it was awkward.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Um, so the one thing you talked about, I can imagine that being separated from your wife and family was traumatizing. You talked about sleeping alone, and that has some trauma. Were there any incidents where you had to defend yourself, or prison guards messing with you? What was your relationship like with the law enforcement inside of the facilities?
Well, of course, they got some cool and then they got some assholes. And, you know, they had this, I can't remember their damn name, but every now and then they'd do a raid and just fuck up your shit, just tear your place up and just throw your shit all over the place. I think they call it SSI. They'd come in there and just tear your shit up, a raid looking for shit, contraband and all that shit. And every now and then they used to want me to go talk to the kids and be the musician to go play for little events they got. So when they did that to me, I'm like, man, I ain't doing that shit no more. So I bucked on them. I ain't do it. And I just I just pretty much did what I was supposed to do, so I ain't even have to have no problems with them. So they can have no reason to say nothing to me. So I just made sure I did what I was supposed to do, so I ain't got to deal with them. And that's what I did.
Well, it sounds like you had a. It sounds like your mindset helped get you through prison.
Oh,
And go ahead.
all the way, man. Hey, man, I laugh pretty much every day in prison. Like, I mean, I had some moments in there. I had some food in there I still liked that the prisoners cooked, in the microwave. I had a lot of good experiences, and I treated more like school because I never really read books like I did when I was in jail. I read books to the point where the words became visual, you know.
Yeah.
That's how much I started reading. So now when I write anything, I know how to paint the picture now with lyrics from me being an astute reader when I was in jail. So I really just treat it like school, man, and try to get the best out of it. But if you allowed yourself to get involved with the bull crap, you could have definitely, found it. And I'm trying to get out of here. So let me not get no fights because it's gonna go further than I wanted to go from me because you got to fight to win. So that can go to death. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the situation.
So, EB, based on what you just said, is it safe to say that prison helped you write music better because you were able to paint a story visually as a result of being in prison where you didn't necessarily have that skill before you went into prison?
Oh no, definitely, because all that time you had, I'm a bass player, but I learned how to play the guitar fluently in jail. I had a dream. I did a guitar solo, and it just inspired me to pick up the guitar. And so I learned that fluently because there was other guitar players in there from jazz background to rock, and so I learned all these other genres and these scales and chords, and I was able to read the books and learn chords, and then I had the ear to pick up things too. So yeah, Jill helped me on quite a few things, man.
Talk to me about this, EB. I'm guessing that you were one of the only people that you ran into when you were in prison. When you look around, there was nobody else that had your profile. Nobody else, and correct me if I'm wrong, nobody else was a member of one of the biggest bands in the world for a period of time. How
Well,
were you
they had
talking?
famous rappers in there. It was one guy named Buck J from Chicago, and he's Kanye West boy, and he got out and started working with Kanye. So, and he was known. He wasn't known as more as Tony, but he was pretty popular. Like they knew of him.
But had he experienced the opening up of the world that you experienced as a result of Tony? I'm saying
No.
that's the point I'm trying to make.
And the funny thing is, the when I got to Big Springs, it was people there from Atwater who got transferred before me. So I already had people at Big Springs. And how that worked too, when you get transferred to a unit, the inmates see your number like, hey man, your Oakland folks over there, because everybody from California, from all states, join together. They call it a car. So when they see the last three digits, oh, you from Cali, your folks over there, man, they're working for me, a Cali boy right there. And then some of my friends from Atwater wrote, when they knew I was going to Big Spring, wrote some of the friends from Big Spring told me I was coming. So they're like, hey man, yeah, Big G told me you was coming. What you need? Blah, blah, blah. So man, the feds, man, you know, one thing about the feds, man, you always gonna know somebody. From a friend of an inmate or a friend on the street or a friend you just know personally. But definitely for the relationships you have in jail, because if you got a good reputation, they're gonna embrace you everywhere.
Well, I'm still, when I look at you, it's kind of like if I'm going to pick something similar, Aaron Hernandez.
Right.
You wasn't going out there killing anybody, but I'm saying Aaron Hernandez experienced what it was like to be famous, to make money, and all that, and he finds himself in prison. And it's
Right.
like, how do you cope? How were you able to cope with the life that you were living, and now you don't have your freedom, and you at the commissary and this, that, and the other thing? How were you able to keep your sanity in prison, knowing what your life was like before you got there?
Good. You have to take off that hat and put on the other hat. It's two different lifestyles, and you have to leave that lifestyle in the streets alone and learn this lifestyle in there. And that's what I did. Now I never they just call in your little area of your house. I never called that area of my house. I wouldn't do that. That shit ain't my house. That maybe your I ain't calling it my house. But there's certain things they'll say and do, and that I wasn't conform to because I knew I was going back home, and I never really, like you said, although I knew I stayed the rules with the jail, but I was still knowing what I was going home to and who I was. So that ain't never waver. Like a lot of times when I went to other prison, they heard I was on the yard before I was on the yard. So when I'm going around talking to meeting people, they're like, "Yeah, man, I hear this dude from Tony on this yard." And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Yeah, man, yeah, dude, they said dude up here, man." I said, "Man, that's cool." Then later on, they found out it was me. I carried myself as Elijah Baker. They liked me as Elijah Baker. You know what I'm saying? And when they found out that, they was like, man, he ain't even say nothing about that shit. That's crazy.
I had that same experience with Tony Gwynn's son. I had no idea I had met Tony Gwynn's son and the relationship I had with him until I was watching the playoffs.
Right.
This cat gets in the batter's box. I'm like, wait a minute. That's how cool he was.
Right. Yeah.
So that was you.
That was me.
It sounds like it's still you, EB. Talk to our viewers about what you're doing now with your life, what you've been doing since you got out. Put a bow on this lawsuit that you were involved with to try and recoup some of the money from Tony. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, about time 2019 when I filmed a documentary, I put out a documentary I called Loyalty No Royalty. And I just want the world to know there was 6 members instead of 3. So that was my intention. It wasn't to slander the 3. It was to let the world know that it was more than 3 people that made that music.
Chris, his memory ran out. Can you hear me, EB? Just give me a thumbs up. Oh, okay. I can't. It said you got a call.
It's off now. I blocked it.
So when it cut you off, you had given me a great answer. You said that you created that documentary and let the world know that Tony was 6 people, not 3.
Yeah, that was my intent, man. I just want the world to know what we contribute to the group as a 6 member versus them known as 3. And man, it went viral immediately, man. I never felt so appreciated in my life. Reading the comments and everybody got a chance to see all our personalities and all our skill set. And you was finally able to get them accolades that you work for, as far as fan appreciation. And man, that alone did me some good. It wasn't so much of me trying to make some money. I just think that's some validation we all needed.
It's good for your spirit, good for your psyche. So you made that documentary. The lawsuit is over.
Yeah, it's over. We tried to attempt because when I asked my original manager Carlos Stanfield in the documentary, how much money was, he said $6 million. I don't know for sure if that. I don't know what the number was, but I don't think it was $6 million. But it was something that we still didn't get our proper share. But I think that number was off, as we found out later on. But nobody never told us what the true number was, so that's still in limbo.
And you're never getting it.
Nah,
And you cool with that?
nah.
You made peace with it or no?
Yeah, I made peace with it. Yeah, it's either that or go crazy. You know what I'm saying? And you can't move forward holding on to stuff like that. So, I didn't talk to Raphael since then a couple times. We had cool squash conversation. We had a couple of heated conversations, but at the end of the day, we both still respect each other because he was able to enlighten me on some things I didn't know, and I was able to enlighten him some things he didn't know. So, like, okay, well, that's how that could have got misinterpreted, but you still could have did this that way. He said I could have did this way, but we are them 2 stubborn people, and that's just what it's gonna be.
Money made people do things that you wouldn't expect them to do. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, um I know for a fact I would have did that to them. You know what I'm saying? I know for a fact I would have did that. But one guy told me a valuable lesson. I was complaining about because I'm a giving person. I'm a free spirit. I'm a giver. I'm very generous, and So I'm complaining like, man, I do this. This person don't do that. They don't do that. He just stopped me and said, Elijah, everybody ain't like you. And I was like, whoa. And when he said that, I got it immediately. Like I didn't fight it. Like, what the fuck you mean? Like, and I just took that concept from that day forward, man. I don't expect everybody to be like me.
Hey, you know how he could have said it even better was most people aren't like you,
Yeah.
right? Because it's taken me a long time to realize that too. I was talking to my producer today, and since I've met him, it's like, man, I feel like an alien on this planet most of the time. I'm a giver just like you, and I realize most people aren't like me. So stop waiting for them to be that way. It's not going to happen
Not gonna happen at all,
ever.
ever.
Exactly.
And once I,
So what do you do? What are you doing now, EB?
man, I'm
What takes up your time on most days?
right now, man. I'm working on this tech project with that I'm gonna keep closed for a minute, but I had to reinvent myself, and so I'll be retired properly in 4 years. I'm about tired of playing music because it's not compensating enough. I love it, but the business make me don't love it no more because I invested way too much money and time not to get it back. So I'm getting older now, and I ain't 20 years old no more. So I have to think about my future, my kids, and like, man, I got to do something else to get me back right. So I have got me a couple partners, and we put our brains together. We came up with something real good. You'll hear about it real soon, but I just want to keep it in my head right now.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that little bit with me because now I'm curious. I'm going to be looking out to see what it is that you have coming up. I want to thank you for taking the time for sharing your life story with us. Is there a website that you have, or is there any social media that you want to direct our viewers to? Because I want as many people who have a chance to watch this to go follow you and support you and learn more about you and your life.
Everything is under all social media outlets is under Elijah E.B. Baker. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, um, TikTok, everything on Elijah E.B. Baker.
Well, I appreciate you, EB. It's always great talking to you, brother. And keep doing your thing, and I'll be looking out for what your next project is.
Oh yeah, one more thing. These sunglasses I'm wearing, I designed these. These are EB3s, and I sell these word by mouth. I ain't do no serious promotion, but I got a page, EB3 Eyewear. They custom made sunglasses. Got a clothing line, Ambitions Apparel. I got a record company. I wrote a book. So, I'm a film director. I'm waiting to do my next one. So, those a couple of other little I got other talents.
Still hustling, legal hustle this time.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's beautiful. Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks for having me, bro.
All right, we'll get up.
Peace out. All right.